Thomas and his best friend Percy are great friends. Because of this, they know which of each other's buttons not to push. Billy, the orange tank engine, is another friend of Thomas's. However, Billy lives close to Vickerstown, a while away from Thomas and his branch line. Billy works near the diesel works sometimes, taking small goods trains or shunting trucks, nothing special. Meanwhile, Thomas takes his two brightly colored coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, along his scenic line. One morning, Toby was shunting cars ready to go in Thomas's branch line. He had gotten a line of 5 cars linked up and coupled to him. He was going to bring them to the other line ready for Percy's afternoon train. Percy was only just waking up after a long night of pulling the mail train. His fire was being lit, and he sizzled contentedly as his boiler bubbled brightly. "Now this is how engines should live," said Percy. Now Percy was being too busy basking to notice the carelessness of his firelighter. You see, this firelighter was new, and to that degree, inexperienced. When he was busy watching the fire, he grabbed a lever to stay balanced. Little did he know, he was opening the regulator. Before he knew what was happening, Percy was steaming towards Toby. "Look out, Toby!" Percy cried, but it was no use. Percy bumped into Toby, sending him and the trucks through the buffers. The stunned firelighter jumped clear, but Percy, Toby, and 5 trucks went through the buffers, landing on solid ground. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but Percy's front was twisted badly, and Toby's buffers dented. Sir Tom had arrived to see the damage. "We'll need to get 2 more engines to do your work." "It wasn't my fault, sir. I know, Percy. I'll have to give a word to that firelighter. For now, however, you and Toby will have to be mended. I'll send you both to the steamworks." "Now who'll do our jobs?" inquired Toby. "I don't know, Toby. We're short-handed." Soon enough, Sir Tom had made his decision. He brought in 2 tank engines, Billy and Duck. They were waiting at the station when Thomas came to greet them. They were going to replace Toby and Percy on Thomas's branch line and take over the jobs of both shunting and normal duties. "Beep, beep. Hello," said Thomas. "Oh, hello, Thomas. Do you have our jobs?" "No, you'll have to go to the yards for that. Now I'm very busy with Annie and Clarabelle, so I'm afraid I can't go myself." While Thomas worked up and down on his branch line, Duck and Billy shunted trucks all day and long into the evening. Thomas, Duck, and Billy came to the sheds at night to get some sleep. Duck was ordered to deliver Percy's mail train, leaving Thomas and Billy at the sheds to chat. "Gee, it's been ages since I've been here." "Well, where have you been?" asked Thomas. "Vickerstown. I usually would shunt." "I used to shunt before getting my own 2 coaches." "Coaches, eh? Sounds lovely." "Oh yes, they're delightful." "Well, that sounds good and all, but I like my goods trains. The cars never complain. Know what I mean, eh, Tommy?" Tommy? Thomas didn't like being called by a nickname. He liked being called Thomas. Thomas didn't say much after that. He didn't want to hurt Billy's feelings by calling him out, making him think he did something wrong. The 2 went to sleep soon after. The next morning, Billy, Thomas, and Duck were hard at work again. Thomas was out on his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle, leaving Duck and Billy to shunt in the yards. "Easy does it, Billy. These aren't Vickerstown trucks. Ours know how to pay an engine out." "You don't need to boss me around, Doc." "I'm not trying to be rude, Billy. It's the Great Western." "Ahem," said a voice. "Hiya, sir. I believe the GWR culture lesson can stop now, Doc. Now, I need an engine to go to the docks and arrange trains with Porter while Salty's at the diesel works." "I'll go." "Do you mind, Doc?" "Not at all, sir. Besides, who's going to shunt all these trucks?" Oh, that's a good engine. Now hurry, Billy. They need you right away. Yes, sir. Billy puffed quickly to the docks. Porter and Salty were there. Salty was perched sadly on top of a lonely freight car. What happened here? Arr, I got too big for me buffers, is the truth, me hearty. Let's just say he wasn't watching where he was going. Just then, Hank arrived with people to repair Salty. He couldn't help but chuckle a little bit at Salty's predicament. Well, don't you look mighty fine up there, Salty, like a big old seagull? Arr. Billy and Porter set to work with Cranky. They bustled about happily in the warm sun. It was beautiful out, and Cranky had good spirits. Thomas came to collect vans of fish straight from the Irish coast. As usual, the cod smelled terrible, but by now Thomas was used to it. Billy shunted the vans in place, and Porter attached the brake van. There you go, Tommy! Thomas was cross at Billy for calling a name that he deemed disrespectful. He thought he should be called by his name, Thomas. But still, in an attempt to be nice, he didn't say anything. Thomas was waiting for his vans to be loaded while the two saddle tank engines were hard at work at the docks. Billy was arranging trucks for Oliver's next train. The troublesome trucks were cooperating because they were exhausted from the constant biffing and bashing. Billy was reversing too quickly, and he bumped into Thomas. Fish flew everywhere, all over Thomas, Cranky, and Billy. Cinders and ashes! Oh no! Oh dear, what's happened here? Where is my train? I think that is your train, Mr. Oliver. It took a long time to clean up the mess. All the fresh cod from Ireland was ruined and spoiled. Edward and Douglas were called to the docks to take over for Billy and Thomas, who were sent to the washdown. The Blue E2 fumed silently but furiously, because Billy had been nothing but trouble since his first day on this side of the island. That night, Duck, Billy, and Thomas were in the sheds resting after that long, eventful day. Thomas was silent when he usually enjoyed telling stories with Percy and Toby about past times and events, and even things that happened in the day. But this time he was quiet and disappointed at how Billy's presence had consequences on him. I want Percy and Toby back, Thomas muttered to himself. What? Nothing. I'm sorry for what happened at the docks. You should be, klutz. I'm not a klutz. Oh, really? You should have been more careful with those trucks. I can't control that. My driver, you should have known when to slow down. Look, Tommy, I don't know what to do. Why do you call me that? What? My name is Thomas, not Tommy. Does it matter? Yes, because that's not my name. What is all this noise? Sorry, Doc. I'm not arguing anymore, Thomas. And with that, Billy went to sleep, very angry as well. Thomas and Billy avoided each other throughout the next day, and the next. And the next, until a whole week had passed and they were still not saying a word to each other. One afternoon, Thomas was delivering scrap metal to the steamworks. He was late and making up for lost time. His driver didn't realize the points were switched to tin the sheds, and the turntable wasn't set to their position. Thomas screeched his brakes on, but then it was too late. He burst into the turntable and came to a stop perpendicular to the turntable's intended position. Bust my buffers! Exclaimed the flabbergasted Thomas. Hank was nearby, and he raced to the steamworks to find Victor. Billy and Harvey were there too. Harvey was getting his crane arm mended. Thomas has had an accident at the sheds, said Hank. How did I not see it coming? Well, there's not much I can do about it. And Rocky's at the Bloomatin Quarry. Yikes, my next train leaves in 5 minutes. I can't be much help. I'm sorry. Well, why don't you go, Billy? Me help him? But what about the sheds? Where will everyone sleep? Oh, I completely forgot. Yes, I must help everyone else. So Billy was coupled up to the breakdown train, and he rushed to Thomas's aid. Billy, am I glad to see you. The breakdown train was hard at work, and mechanics had arrived to fix the turntable. When it was all taken care of, Thomas was taken to the steamworks to have gravel taken out of his joints. Billy stopped by in the night. A workman was oiling Thomas's joints after getting gravel in his chassis. How have you been? I've been okay. Thanks for helping me out at Tidmouth. Yeah, don't mention it. I'm sorry I snapped at you. That's okay, Thomas. That's better. What? You call me by my real name. And, having made amends, Thomas and Billy happily reunited their friendship for once and all.